coverage on the Kibber store and how profitable it is throughout the escape from Tarkov wipes have been more frequent than recent Activision lawsuits, and that's a really good thing. Not the whole lawsuit thing, that's terrible, and I think something really needs to be done about Activision because multi-billion-dollar companies seem to be getting away with bollocks right now, but the Kibber store, that changing, that's a really good thing, because everything inside of it is completely different. The loot pools are constantly changing, the price of the keys are constantly changing, meaning I can update you, get more ad revenue, and you guys could be more informed on whether the Kibber store is worth looting or not in the current Escape from Tarkov updates. So this video will be covering everything from where to find the keys, how much the keys are on the flea market, how much you'll make per a successful run to the Kibber store, and then finally, how profitable is it, and is it worth you picking up these keys if you haven't got them already. So let's start off by the Kibber store itself, how to actually get in there. First off, you're going to need to turn the power on at the power station outside of the actual mall itself. And then once you've done that, you're going to need two keys. You're going to need the Kibber inner door key and the Kibber outer door key. Both of these keys can be found in pockets of scavs and random jackets around the world. The outer door key actually has a specific spawn. It can be found in the Goshen Superstore, right by the tents. If you want to find it there, you can. I was one of the first people to ever find it back in 0.9, and it still spawns there and is confirmed to this day, so make sure you're checking there whenever you are there. And it can also be traded inside of Loyalty Level 4 Therapist for 60 condensed milk and 10 oat flakes. Now this is not as hard as it sounds, considering the Goshen store itself got a massive buff to food spawns in 12.11, meaning you can find multiple condensed milks and oat flakes per raid, and totaling them up, you'll be able to get that trade in no time. Which will sort of equate to why the key is so cheap on the flea market. In the previous video in 12.9 that I made of the Kibber store, it was 660,000 rubles. Now, it's just 250,000 at the time of this recording, which is the lowest it's ever been. And in terms of the inner door key, which you also need to get inside of the Kibber store, this is just 50,000 on the flea market, or you can unlock it by completing the quest Gunsmith Part 11, where you have to hand in the very simple to mod AS Val. And once you've done that, you can finally go to the Kibber store and unlock it just to get mowed down by a killer. Or, if you're a genius, you can kill killer and actually unlock the doors successfully if no players are around. This will sound an alarm, the store will go crazy, you'll probably see some players, but you'll be able to get in there, and what will you find inside? Well, as soon as you enter the door, there's a mannequin, or two mannequins actually, to the left hand side of that door. This mannequin will spawn armors occasionally. You can find Gen 4 high mobility kits, Sphere S and Unter armors all on there, and then you'll see a bunch of glass cabinets. This is where optics, suppressors and high tier attachments will spawn, and you've got the actual back shelving units at the back as well, all around the store. This will also spawn high tier attachments. You got two weapon crates and some metal shelves in the back right corner of the store, which can spawn anything from helmets to weapons to weapon attachments. And you've got the back walls themselves. You've got the right hand side wall and the very far back wall of the store, which will spawn weapons. They could be unmodded AK-74Ns, or you can be lucky and find modded MPXs, modded AKs, modded AKs with thermal scopes on them. Yeah, that happens occasionally. And combining this all together, you will make a shit ton of money that you just need to extract with, and there you go. Very simple, easy way to make money. So, say you bought these keys now, you spent 330 grand on both of these keys, you're ready to unlock them. How quickly will you make that 330,000 rubles back in order to start making a profit in your future raids? Well, previously in wipes of old, it could take 2, 3, 4 raids to get 600,000 rubles, but the loot pools have changed. Modded weapons are less likely to spawn on the back walls now, but that being said, they still do spawn there. So what I did is I ran there with a few friends. My friends acted as protection while I went in there, scooped up everything that I could from Kibber, and then extracted with it. I then sold everything to the relevant traders or on the flea market, getting the most money possible, and then I would rinse and repeat in order to get my 330,000 rubles. Once I hit the 330,000 rubles mark or above, I would cut it there and see how many runs it took me to make my money back. Pretty simple, right? Well, it's almost as simple as how many runs it had to take me in order to get this 330 grand, because in the first ever run we did, on my first attempt, I made 266,332,000 rubles over the 330,000 rubles. In total, we made 596,332 rubles by finding a ton of suppressors, including the new one twice, and we found an unmodded AK, we found a bunch of scopes, we found lovely high tier attachments. You can see everything that we find on screen right now, and we sold all of that on the flea market and to the relevant traders to get the most profit, and there we did. Very much so. A large amount of profit, and it only took one run in order to start making a profit. In fact, we could have left half of that stuff in the Kibber store and still make a profit. That being said, we won't just leave it there, one raid, that's it, it's done, it's worth it. No, we're going to do this a few times and then calculate an average, because then we can realize if it's just a fluke or if this is consistent. But I tell you now, attempt 2 only took us one run also. We made even more money than last time. We made 628,658 rubles, meaning a whole 298,658 ruble profit. Once again, everything we found in this run is also on screen now. As you can see, we found an AK-105 fully modded out with a PK06, flashlight, etc. So we broke that down and sold the individual attachments to make the most money. We found a few suppressors, including an SRD 762 suppressor, which is really expensive. A few anodized red attachments, including the advanced buffer tube, which is actually really expensive also. Even that 762 drum mag is extremely expensive on the flea market at the moment, so that gave us a large amount of money, let alone the PS that is inside it. That doesn't go for much, but anything is better than nothing. So, 2 out of 2 raids, it only took us one run to make our money back and start making a profit. Attempt 3, the third and final attempt to get a free run average, and well, what can I say? We made 555,156 rubles once again, meaning that we made a profit in our first run. By doing this, we simply found another AK-105 and a modded MPX MQB, which has a Bravo on it. It has a suppressor, really high tier attachments, a shift foregrip for example. We also found the new reflex sight that is a thermal. That's about 50 grand on the flea market. Again, a bunch of suppressors. We found a long range scope and the LVOAC. The magazines at the top in my rig, they're worth quite a bit of money. And of course, the Ergo PSG-1 grip, that's also worth a fortune as well. Breaking down the modded weapons definitely gave us the most amount of money on this run, and that was able to push us over the edge. I think without those weapons, we wouldn't have made that amount of profit, but nevertheless, 3 rounds, 3 runs, 1 run each. Simple as that, nice and easy. Consistently getting about 500,000 rubles every like 10 to 15 minute raid, depending on how much competition you find around the Kibber store, is absolutely insane. Especially for the price of these keys. They're not going to shoot up massively after this video, they usually do a little bit, but then they stabilize again, so just be aware of that. But what can I say? The Kibber store is probably more worth it than ever in terms of how much profit you'll be making per run. But just to be on the safe side, I decided to run the Kibber store one more time. You know, usually I do a 3 round average, but because I just had one run after the other of making about 500 to 600,000 rubles, I decided to run it again. Maybe that was 3 flukes in a row, who knows? Well, I do, because it wasn't. We made another 502,819 rubles. As you can see, all the stuff here. We didn't find a modded weapon, but we did find a VPO 215, we found a Salvo 12, a Shift foregrip on its own, a Bravo 4 sight, a PDC, all of that fun stuff you can see on screen. And to me, that wasn't even running it in order to calculate any profits. I just did it for the laugh. I was running interchange with my mates and that's what we came across. Again, consistent money, and it's always good to see it. So I'm going to leave this video with a few tips on how I got the Kibber store successfully a bunch of times. Running to it straight away is not always the best situation. There will be a lot of chaos around there in the first few minutes because people are running to find killer a bunch of times. So what I tend to do is sit around the nearby stores, especially if power is not on yet. I wouldn't go straight to the power and turn it on yourself because by the time you run back, people might have already hit Kibber. That being said, not a lot of people actually have the KIBA keys from my experience lately, so you might not find that much competition, but when you do, you want to wait around and catch them either as they're unlocking it, or make sure they don't get anywhere near the door. Position yourself up and watch the Kibber store as much as possible, and make sure all the scavs, including Killer, remain alive while you're doing this. They're great alarms and they might even help you when bringing down PMCs. And when the time is right, either all the scavs will be dead and you've taken on a few PMCs to get yourself the Kibber store, or you've just got a few scavs to take care of yourself and then you can unlock the doors nice and easy. If you can take a team, like I did, make sure a couple of them are running a little bit of protection. You might have to split the loot to make it worth their while, but with the amount of profit that you're making, you're consistently making over 200,000 rubles profit each run from my experience. So you can split a bit of that and you won't be losing anything, and you'll still be making a profit in one run anyway. So bring a team, make sure you're not too eager to get there, and listen out for the power. If you double tap O to bring up all your extracts, if you see that the safe room extract, the last extract on the list, is lit up in green, then that isn't that the extract has been used or being used. That means that power is on. So bear that in mind when you're looking at that. And after you've got all the weapons and stuff like that out of Kibber and you're back in your stash, if you want to quickly dismantle everything, I say this before in other videos, but what you can do is just right click on the weapon whilst it's in your stash and then just go down to where it says disassemble, and it takes every part off that weapon possible in order to give you the most amount of profit from that weapon rather than selling the weapon as a whole, because that just gives you less money overall. So guys, as usual, this is another one of these Kibber videos that you guys seem to love. Thank you so much for watching. As always, hit a like button and subscribe if you did find it helpful, and comment down below for the YouTube algorithm. It's always nice. Stay tuned for the channel actually, because I will be making an ultra medical storage room key video exactly the same as this, so if you do want to check that out, feel free. I'll see you very soon. Thanks so much for watching again. Goodbye.